Today, I want to share some tips on how to evaluate if your new business idea, such as a product or service, is worth pursuing. To do that, I'm going to share some pointers I often refer to in my own practice that are related to the desirable, feasible, and viable framework, which was originally created by the design firm IDEO. Now, this is by no means an exhausted list or the only way to go about it. It's just what I've found helpful over the years, and it's just one of many tools to add to your toolkit. So let's begin with the most important one, which is desirability. Or to put it another way, if we make this, will anyone actually care? Now, this might seem simple enough. Maybe you've had a lightning bolt of inspiration and believe your idea is absolutely incredible. And that's great, but we need to understand if anyone else feels the same way about it. And not only that, but does anyone else feel the same way about it enough to part with their hard-earned money in exchange for it? And this is the first item on our checklist, which is whether it actually solves a problem or delights someone in a way that nothing else does. One way to know if this is true is to have a very rough, prototyped version of your concept that you can test in front of actual people who might potentially buy your product or service. I won't go into the details now about testing and research, as that's a very deep topic, and perhaps we'll pick that up in another video. But simply put, go out and ask people if your idea resonates with them. The second item on our list is asking ourselves if we have a clear, unique value proposition statement. By this I mean, can we clearly articulate our concept to an audience that would make them see the value in it? A good tool for this is the Value Proposition Canvas from Strategizer, and I'll link to that in the description below. If you're creating a blue ocean market, which is basically something that doesn't already exist in one form or another, a key watch out is to make sure that the problem you're trying to solve for or desire you're looking to fulfill is genuine and not merely a perceived one that no one in the real world actually cares about. For example, yes, it's annoying if you need to use a laundromat and don't have enough quarters with you, but does that mean your business idea to sell bags of 80 quarters for $27 is desirable? No, it doesn't. And yes, that was a real idea called washboard, and you guessed it, it failed. Now, if it's a red ocean market, meaning there's a lot of competition already, then your value proposition needs to be something that your competitors either can't do or won't. A good example here would be a company like Liquid Death. There's probably no bigger red ocean market than bottled water, and yet their branding and packaging is edgy enough that their main competitors most likely won't be able to imitate them due to the conservative nature of their shareholders. The next item I think about is credibility. It's important to ask yourself, are you credible enough as a business that customers will feel confident to buy from you? Now, this could be working experience if you're trying to sell a service. It might be technical abilities if you're trying to build something reliable as a product. But whatever it is, a customer needs a reason to trust you enough in order to feel comfortable giving you their hard-earned money. And finally, is there a large enough market that has this problem or desire to make it worth your while? This is very subjective, but if you have a market of one person, well, you better hope they're incredibly rich in order for your business to succeed. And if not, then it's best to find a reasonably large enough pool of potential customers for your business idea to be desirable too. In this next section, we want to find out if we know how to actually make what we want to make, and we call this feasibility. This is where we ask ourselves if we have the capabilities or access to those capabilities to bring our idea to life. They could be technical abilities, maybe they're community building skills or managerial experience, basically anything that will be needed to successfully make the product or service. In order to do this, it's worth analysing any skills that might be missing that you will either need to gather or outsource in order to build your product or service. The next item I like to consider is, will we be able to go to market in a strong way? Part of this relates to our value proposition from earlier, and we need to understand if it's clear enough in order to be able to promote that externally. It's worth asking yourself if we have a clear enough vision and a roadmap, and do we have a strong go-to-market strategy that we can properly execute on? And the last item I like to consider is if there is any red tape that we will need to navigate. Now, this could be legal issues that need to be considered in order for your product or service to work within the law, Or it might be industry-specific regulations that you will need to comply with in order to go to market. So you'll need to know if you can meet those requirements. After all, the last thing you want is that your first customer is the FBI knocking on your door. And the last section we'll talk about is viability, which basically means, will we go broke making this product or service? In this category, we want to start to investigate whether we've priced our product or service appropriately for our customers. Now, pricing is a tricky subject, and there's a lot of other great resources out there about it. But ultimately, you need to identify whether your price is acceptable, or maybe too high, or even too low. You also want to have a way to be able to cover the upfront overhead costs that might be required to build your product or service. Think about the technical tools you might need to purchase in order to build this idea. Maybe there's software you need to license. Maybe you have to hire office space. Maybe there will be salaries to pay, or shipping logistics for selling your products. Whatever those costs, they need to be factored into your evaluation process and your pricing strategy. And lastly, but most importantly, will we be able to make a return on our investment and actually generate revenue? This is the eternal question, and if anyone says they can guarantee revenue, they're either delusional or lying. Now, you've probably noticed that I spent more time talking about desirability than any other section. And that's not to say that feasibility and viability aren't important, but at the end of the day, if you don't have something desirable, nothing else matters. Because there's no point building a business idea that no one wants to buy, right? That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like my laundromat coin business idea. I swear it'll work this time. Share your venture capital funds with a totally different venture capital firm. And subscribe to my business modeling agency if you're an incredibly attractive spreadsheet. And if you're an entrepreneur or business owner, follow this channel where we'll talk more about topics such as business, creativity, and innovation. See you next time.